Hi, this is Prashant Solomon. Today I'm going to talk to you about the afterlife. Now, death is something that people have questioned from right from the beginning of history. What happens when we die? Now, nobody knows the exact answer, and I'm sure each one of us will find out someday what happens because death is something that all of us are going to experience. But luckily, we're not completely in the dark when we talk about death because there are a lot of people that have had experiences, which we call near death experiences, in which they have been declared clinically dead, but then have actually come back to life after a few minutes after being revived. So, and they have come back with some pretty interesting stories, which I'm sure people who are interested in this topic know quite a bit about. There are a lot of common threads that run across most of these experiences and tales that people tell when they come back. Most people who have experienced near death experiences say that the actual moment of death, the actual moment when the soul and the body separate, is actually a pretty painless and peaceful moment. And in most cases, it happens pretty quickly. So, if that is true, then we can be comforted by the fact that when we die, we are probably not going to really suffer too much. Now, a lot of people who have experienced death say that they just float out of their body. They just sort of, like a balloon, just kind of float out of the body and just, they're still aware of what is happening around them. A lot of people actually can see and hear doctors who are trying to revive them, who are trying to bring them back to life when the heart stops beating. And they have actually tried to communicate with the doctors and nurses and say that, we're still here. But the doctors and nurses cannot hear them. So the first step that happens after death is when you just sort of float out of the body and you can kind of, you're still there, but you don't really see yourself with the body. You're like a point of consciousness, if you will. Then the next step is that they see a light and then they enter into the light, and from there they go into kind of a tunnel. A lot of people have described this tunnel. Some people call it a tunnel, some people call it a vortex of some kind, and they're moving in a direction that they cannot really discern whether they're going up, down, left, or right. They're just moving forward, and it's sort of happening automatically as if being drawn in by some huge, extremely powerful magnet. When they come out of the tunnel, um, and yes, another thing is that they see a light at the end of the tunnel. So perhaps that is where this term has originated from, light at the end of the tunnel. So when they come at the end of the tunnel, they enter into another realm where they are greeted and welcomed by their friends and family members who have passed on before them. And after that, after a few moments of reunion, they are welcomed by a being of light. And people have mentioned that from this beam of light, there is a feeling of complete love and acceptance that comes from this being of light. Many people have said that the love that they felt on the other side is, maybe a million times more powerful than any kind of love that has been experienced on planet Earth. Now, the being of light then shows them a life review. Now, during the life review, they see events of their life that have happened. And it's kind of like a movie, except that it's actually there. So it's sort of more like, maybe like a virtual reality or an extremely realistic movie. And the interesting thing is that not only do they see events that occurred, They also feel events. Like, for example, they feel what they made other people feel. So if supposing they did something to hurt somebody, they will actually feel the hurt that that person felt. If they did something to help somebody, then they will actually feel the joy that that person felt. Now, after the life review is over, now this life review is also, in a sense, sort of a self analysis of the life that has just ended, the incarnation that has just ended. Now, during this life review, they also, they just, they can actually go from one event to another without being necessarily linear in nature in terms of time. So it's not that, you have to see yourself born and then as a child growing to a teenager and so on. It just sort of takes you to particular moments of your life, kind of like a DVD. You have chapters. You can just click on any chapter and you're there. So you don't have to actually, when you watch a DVD, you don't have to actually watch the whole movie. You can go directly to that particular scene that you want to watch. So that's pretty much what a life review is like. Now, another very interesting thing is that people who have had these near-death experiences have talked about how their senses are extremely enhanced during the process. They see, they hear, they smell much more clearly than they could on Earth. In fact, the senses sort of get intertwined. So in a matter of speaking, it's like, you can see through your ears, you could hear through your eyes. So it's not like you have a particular organ which is functioning in a particular way. It's like the senses are just coming into you completely. They also say that they see colors that they have not seen on Earth. They also hear music and sounds that they have not heard on Earth. And also they say that the world that you go to after this world is actually, they feel that it's a lot more real than this world. So it's like the world that we're living in now. Some people have actually said that this is kind of like a photocopy of the original, and the original being the world that you go after this, which is the next dimension, so to say. And another very interesting thing that most people have said is that they always felt as if they've come home. When you leave this physical world and you go back to the other side, people always have this sensation or feeling of a homecoming, that this is their real home, and they were on Earth for a particular mission or particular task which they had to undertake. And but this world where they've come to now is the real, actual home of the soul. Now, this is the first video that I'm making on this topic, and I plan to make more and get into more details about different things that occur in the afterlife, and perhaps more cases of near-death experiences and life between life experiences. There's a whole bunch of interesting research that is being done in this field, a whole bunch of books that have been written on this topic, and it's something that I think is extremely important for us as human beings to understand what happens in the afterlife, because that will, if our understanding of the afterlife is clear, I think it's going to help us in living this life as well. As one of my favorite quotes is by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think that when we live by that particular thought, it changes our perspective about how we live in this life, what our priorities are, how we should behave with other people, and so on. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy the new videos that I will make after this. And have a nice day. God bless you.